What's up guys, C2113 here, and in today's video we're going to be unboxing the Ecoboxx EB150P portable power station. Alright guys, so we're going to be taking a look at the Ecoboxx EB150P portable power station, or portable power generator, or portable solar generator, or whatever name they're going by. So as always, the link's going to be in the description if you want to check it out. This is slightly different than the EB150S, which is their slightly more inexpensive model. It's about $20 cheaper. This is going for $109 on Amazon. The EB150S is going for about $90. So you're going to save about 20 bucks. Now the distinctions between the two real quick are that the EB150P that you see here has 60 watt USB-C power delivery on that USB-C port, whereas the EB150S only has 18 watts. In addition, the EB150S actually has one USB-A quick charge port, whereas this does not. And however, this has a 10 watt wireless charging coil built into the top of it, whereas the EB150S has no wireless charging capabilities. However, they both have the same wattage inverter capabilities, so that's 120 watt constant, 200 watt surge, and generally very similar build quality, though this has some sort of nice either stainless steel or aluminum cladding on the outside of half of the unit, whereas the EB150S is all black plastic. So anyway, let's go ahead and see what comes in the box and see what this unit is like. All right guys, so we've got our manual here, pretty standard stuff. We've got a little thank you card. We've got something on the back here. Okay, got a QR code for their Amazon store. Does this open up? Oh, it does, okay. Yeah, so it's basically just saying, you happy? Are you not? Either way, let them know. Here's our manual. This is pretty good information, I guess, if you're worried about what kind of error codes you might get, warnings, but it doesn't seem super complicated. Again, the unit itself has a relatively simple interface, and we'll go over that, but that's this. Here we have our unit itself. Oh, all right, I accidentally turned it on. Now this is a good sign. Take a look here. You'll see the display, and I'll go ahead and pull the unit out. Now, spoiler alert guys, this is actually not my first unboxing of one of these. I actually previously purchased one of these, and when I tried to turn it on, it was completely dead. It would not turn on at all. And when I plugged it in, the voltage was very, very low. And so immediately I was concerned because, as you know, a lithium battery that sits for an extended period of time in a deeply discharged state will suffer damage. That is how you kill lithium batteries. You want to kill a lithium battery, nothing will do it faster than either heat or keeping it super discharged, or both. And so my concern was, we've got this power station with a large lithium battery in it that's sitting completely discharged on some sort of warehouse shelf somewhere, possibly in adverse temperature conditions. The battery is going to be worn out before I even get to use it. And so I immediately tried to get an exchange, and so this was the replacement unit they sent me. So it's good to see that it actually has 11.1 volts in there, which is not completely discharged. It's about 40%. So let's go ahead and shut it off, and we'll go over this unit in just a little bit. So to see what else comes in the box here, we've got car charger, this, which is pretty cool. So one of the things that people complain about, and including me, I'll say, I wish this was included. You know, you want to make this thing perfect or damn near perfect, add a quick charge USB-A port, just one. You know, these other two can stay the normal, but just at least one quick charge USB port, but they don't have that. These are just standard 2.4 amp ports, which again, I'm not complaining, it'll charge any phone, but it'd be nice to see a quick charge port. This USB-C to female USB-A is a great inclusion. It's a small little bonus, but it's definitely nice to see. Now, if you have a phone that's capable of quick charging, but you don't have a USB-C to USB-C cable for some reason, you can use this and use your standard USB-A to USB-C cable And now you have a port that allow your phone to quick charge. Yes, I know it's a little dongle and you got to worry about this, but it's a nice inclusion. Now, if you want my recommendation, I'd say get a USB-C to USB-C cable and get yourself a fast, high wattage USB-C charger. And I'll explain why in a minute, but basically, there's a big reason why I would recommend getting this unit over the $89 one. And a big part of that is this USB-C port, even if you don't personally use many USB-C devices. So what else comes in the box? We got a car charger, like I said, and we've got our AC adapter here. Now this thing is capable of 36 watts, it says on the back, 12 volts, 3 amps. And I think the max input actually for this charging port, which again, because this thing is also marketed as a solar generator and all that, it does accept charge from a solar panel, but this port can only accept up to 40 watts. So we'll get into that in a minute. So let's go ahead and pull off this screen protector, and I'll go ahead and bring you in so we can get a closer look at the interface. All right, so hopefully you guys can see the display now. I'm gonna go ahead and power it on again. And as you can see the display, you'll get a reading. The top number is gonna be your input in watts, so basically how much power is going into the unit. The bottom number is gonna be your total power output, so how much power you're drawing from the unit. On your right, you'll see a 5-bar battery icon, and you're gonna see the battery voltage on the top. Now, one of these batteries fully charged is gonna read about 12.5 volts. So just keep that in mind. It's gonna be slightly lower in voltage than your standard lead acid battery. 12.4, 12.5 is pretty fully charged for one of these. So what I really appreciate about this unit is that it's got this display. It gives me crucial information, like how much power is going in and how much power is going out. And so basically, if I'm running some equipment that I know I can't have shut off, this lets me make sure that I don't pull too much power and accidentally trip the breaker and shut everything off. Because you got to remember, let's say this thing has a total ceiling of 150 watts, right? Total. I don't know exactly what the total ceiling is between all the ports, but I know that on the AC output at least, the maximum continuous you can pull is 120 watts, and you can do 200 watts for like a split second, right? That's your surge. So if I'm pulling 120 watts out of here, just at the maximum, I can then easily see, hey, I'm pulling 120 watts. That's it. No more power can be drawn from that port or it'll shut off. Whereas if there is no indicator, there's no screen, there's just an on off, I really won't know until the unit kicks off, right? So that's a big downside. In addition, I really appreciate the fact that there is a good battery indicator. Now, I know for some people out there, they might actually prefer to just see a percentage or something like that, but I am just so tired of seeing very high quality, expensive solar generators and power stations and the like coming with nothing more than a 5-segment battery indicator. I mean, just look at the Bluetti AC100. I did a video on that. You can click the card above. Or look at the Suaoki G500. I did a video on that one. Click the card above. There's all of these high quality solar generator power stations type deals that have no true accurate indication of how much charge is in there. I mean, it's essentially a childlike display of 5 icons. I mean, you know, I thought we moved past this sort of rudimentary level of power indication when we moved away from simple non-smartphones. But apparently we haven't when it comes to the world of advanced power stations. So I like this. Now, I know that some would prefer that percentage I was talking about, but I like the voltage because it gives me an even more accurate read on the condition of the battery. If you need to understand the basics of the voltage curve, you can look up a standard NMC or nickel manganese cobalt. This is the chemistry of this particular type of lithium battery, and you can look up the voltage curve for that type of battery, and that'll essentially tell you the charge state of the battery. As long as you understand the voltage curve, once you get the hang of it, you'll just know by looking at it. And again, that's, for me, it's being someone that's more into the technical side of things, I do appreciate that. So the reason I was telling you before about this Type-C port being so important is that enables you to charge a unit a lot faster. Now, you heard I talked about this input port only being able to accept a maximum of 40 watts. And that's true. It doesn't matter what source you go from your car, from the wall, or from a solar panel. You're only going to get a maximum of 40 watts, and that's going to give you a charge time about 5 to 6 hours. That's a long time. Now, for some of you guys out there, you might say, well, why do I care, right? It's not like I'm recharging this thing all the time. Well, yeah, for some of you guys, that's fine. You take this out, you do what you need to do when you're out, you come home, you plug it in, you go to sleep, and you don't need the thing until the next day. That's fine. You don't care how long it takes to charge, right? As long as it's done before 8 hours is over, you don't care. But for some people, they might need this at some sort of demo work booth or something like that, at like a trade show or something like that, and then they're gonna have a few hours off to get home, charge this thing back up, and go to another trade show or another event, and they need this thing to be powered back up. The big advantage with this model over the EB150S is that this has a 60 watt capable Type-C PD input. That means power delivery in and out. So you can charge things at 60 watts from the unit, but you can also charge the unit at 60 watts. Being able to charge this thing at 60 watts makes a big difference when it comes to charging speed. So instead of 5 to 6 hours, you're looking at 2 to 3 hours, and that is a big difference. So definitely, that's one thing for me, is if you're looking at charge times and you really need the thing to charge up quick, don't even bother with the other one. This is definitely worth it. And like I said, when it comes to the quick charge port and the USB-A, there are workarounds. There's the included dongle. You can get these too. You don't just have to use theirs. Or you could just use a USB-C to USB-C cable. It's going to allow you to charge your iPad Pros, your MacBook Pros, and almost all Android phones at this point. And there's not many downsides. And of course, if you still only have USB-A chargers at home, then you probably will need 2 types of chargers. But at least when it comes to this, you could charge this unit with that USB-C cable as well. So that's a big plus. This AC inverter has like I said, a peak wattage of 200 watts, but a constant of only 120. So we're gonna have to test that and see if we can pull that full 120, if it kicks off, what it does when it kicks off, what kind of error it gives us. And when it comes to this 12 volt port, a big reason for some people to buy a unit like this is for use with a CPAP or other medical device. Now the thing is, the effectiveness of that is going to be heavily dependent on whether or not this port is regulated. Because we've already talked about with NMC, or nickel manganese cobalt technology, which is the type of lithium battery in here, the voltage is lower than what would be typically found with a lead acid battery, meaning that the discharge curve means that unless this port has active regulation, the voltage will drop below typical 12 volt voltage by the time the battery is under 50%, basically unusable. We're talking under 11 volts. And so most 12 volt adapters will either shut off due to protection circuitry, or the voltage will get so low that they won't function correctly. So the thing is with this, if it's not regulated, that means that your 12 volt appliances will stop working when the battery capacity reaches 50% or less. And that is not good, because that means that essentially your effective usage of this with 12 volt appliances is cut in half, your effective usage capacity. So we'll have to test that, and we'll have to see what we're getting out of all these different ports. But and then the last thing too, another nice feature, just a little bonus, all right, is this light. So if you push this button in the middle that says lighting, you'll see this light comes on right here. Very nice. It's got a low, and then this is a high. And there's 2 other modes. If you press and hold, you should get into sort of an emergency SOS type mode. And if you guys can see that. And then, you can shut that off. And I think there's one more. Let's see if I can get that. And if we hold this. Yeah, so I think this is just the blinking mode. So if you hold it down when it's off, you're gonna get your SOS. This is just a constant flashing mode. But that's pretty nice. I know some people say, hey, well, what's that? It's kind of a gimmick, what's the point of that? But the way I see this being used the most is, let's say you're going into a dark hotel room, and you know how hotel rooms are, right? It's like there's never any lights in there. It's like, whoever designed it was blind, and they were just like, well, they can just feel their way around or whatever. That's why we put the popcorn ceilings in there or whatever. But I mean, in reality, it's always an absolute pain to try and find that outlet behind the desk. Something like this is going to give you that ability to look for that. And let's say you use this in the event of a power failure or something else. You're looking for the different adapters you want to pull out of the wall, plug into this unit. Again, all of that is just, having this is just a nice little bonus. It's not required. You might only use it once or twice in the entire life of the product. But those 2 times that you use it you'll be so thankful you have it. So I do like that a lot. And then last, of course, we got this wireless charging pad. And so that just turns it on. And like I said before, this is capable of 10 watts. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start testing some stuff. So the first thing I want to test, of course, is your standard DC charging input. So we're going to use our AC adapter and go directly into the DC port to charge this thing and see what kind of power we get from the wall adapter. All right, guys, I got the wall adapter plugged in, and we'll go ahead and plug it into the unit. And I don't know if you guys can see that display. So it seems to start out kind of low, and it's ramping up right now. But you can see the little indicator showing that we are getting power in. It's steadily increasing, so it doesn't seem to start all at once. We're slowly ramping up. We're at 17, 18, 20, 21, 22. So let's see where this thing peaks out. All right, so for now, it seems to be peaking out about 34 watts, 33, 34. So that's interesting. We're not reaching the full 40, but again, like I said, the maximum this thing can receive is 40 watts input on this port. But at least we know this port works. The next thing I want to test, of course, is an important one, and that's to see if this 12 volt port is regulated or not. Because again, like I said, for some, that could actually be a deal breaker. For others, they won't really care. So let's get that to DC voltage. And I'm gonna have to try to be careful with this because how small this port is, it could be really easy to short it out. So hopefully I'm not blocking that display over here. You can take a look at that voltage. But just so you guys know, the current voltage of the battery, as per the display here, is 11.1 volts. So if we get anything close to 11.1 volts off of here, we know this port is not regulated. But if we do get something like 12 or 12.1 or anything higher like that, then we know this port's probably regulated because it's giving you a much higher voltage. So let's go ahead and get a read. Guys, unfortunately I got some bad news there. I don't know if you see the display. I don't know if you guys can see that display, but we're getting 11.06 volts. So unfortunately, this port is not regulated. So for those of you out there that were looking at this unit just for the 12 volt output, I gotta say, unfortunately, that this is not gonna be a great choice. However, with all the other things and features that this thing comes with, my guess is that wasn't your only purpose for this. So, you know, if you're gonna use this thing with something like a CPAP, your best choice might be use this thing to about 50% with the 12 volt port and then maybe transfer over to the AC output. Obviously, you're going to lose a lot of efficiency out of that. So, but maybe you can use the tail end of the battery through that. Again, obviously, if you're sleeping, that's not going to be super convenient. So I guess maybe see how much runtime you can get on your CPAP drawn just out of the 12 volt port. But again, that is a little bit disappointing. But you know, you can't have everything. So I'm not going to say, you know, it's game over or deal breaker yet. Let's go ahead and see what we get out of these USB ports. Make sure that they work. All right, so I've got a USB A to USB C cable. Plug that in. Got a phone right here. Go ahead and plug that in. And I don't know if you can see that on screen. Just says charging. Now on Samsung phones, if you get quick charge going on, it'll say charging rapidly, so, or fast charging. It's not fast charging, so, but that's fine. And if we take a look here at the battery monitor, we'll take a look at what kind of charge current we're getting. So yeah, we're not getting the best charge current, but Samsung phones can be kind of weird based on you know, the condition of the phone. So basically, if the phone's locked and off, the charge current will go up a lot, but when the phone's actually being used, they actually slow down a lot, and that's just kind of something weird with Samsung phones in particular. But the phone is charging, so the port works. But what we want to see is if we're going to get quick charge out of the USB-C port. So I'm going to go ahead and use their included adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the USB-C end of this, and then I'll plug the USB-A end into this, and we'll see what we get. And now there's a change. You can see fast charging. So it is in fact fast charging from this USB-C port with a simple adapter. So that's really cool to see. So again, if you guys get a USB-C to USB-C cable, you could quick charge this thing, no problem. And the bonus is, because this thing is capable of pass-through charging, which by the way, let's go ahead and test that right now. Got the AC adapter right here, plug that in, I'll plug this adapter back in, and then we'll go ahead and plug in our phone. So you can see, hopefully from that display, that the display is saying we're drawing 12 watts from the output, and we are getting 18, 19, you know, the AC adapter, when you first plug it in, it's kind of slow, it ramps up. But the point is, you're charging this unit while also pulling power from it. So if you were to go to a hotel room and you needed to charge up your phone and your tablet and charge this thing up at the same time, you could plug this thing into the wall and then plug all your devices into this like a hub. And man, you'd be good to go. You could charge everything with just the one cable. So that's pretty cool. So that works. Now, let's go ahead and test out that wireless charging pad. And at the very end of this, we're gonna go ahead and test out that super fast charging that I'm talking about. Turn on the wireless charging pad. And let's go ahead and place it on top. And as you can see, it is indeed wireless charging. So not just wireless charging too. If you read the screen right here, it says fast wireless charging. So this is giving you the full 10 watts. So that's pretty cool. And you can see the display here is saying about 9. So yeah, 9, 10, you know, it's technically it's supposed to be 10, but generally most of them only achieve about 9. But either way, that's fast wireless charging. Now you know most of your older iPhones are only going to get about 7.5 watts. I think the new iPhone 12 and 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, I think those are capable of about 10 watts. And then with their specialty MagSafe stuff, you're able to get about 15 watts. But the point is, this is going to be able to wireless charge any of your devices. If they're not capable of 10 watts, it'll easily just do the standard 5 or 7.5 or whatever it is. So that's pretty cool. You got a wireless charging pad built in. And again, of course, you can plug other devices in here. You can draw all that power through the one device. All right, guys, of course, the last test we got to do is to see, will this power station accept a charge through that USB-C port? And how high can we get? All right, guys, so I've got this cable hooked up to my Maxoak Bluetti AC100 solar generator, and this is capable of a maximum output of 45 watts through the power delivery port. So let's go ahead and see if we get that 45 watts. Now, all right, I've turned on the port, and as you can see, we're getting 38, 37, so not quite 45 watts. So maybe the DC output on this solar generator I'm trying to use right now isn't quite enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my 61 watt USB-C charger that I use with my iPad, and we're going to try this test again. All right, guys, so I've got the USB-C charger, and you got to excuse the busted end here. So the cable got a little bit frayed, and to avoid having it completely come apart, I just put a little bit of wire loom tape on there. Holds just fine, but it does look mighty sketch. So this is just to show you guys what I'm using here. This is a 61 watt USB-C charger from Apple. So this thing should put out 61 watts. So if this thing is capable of accepting 60 watts in, just as it's capable of putting 60 watts out, this will definitely make it happen. So let's take a look. And would you look at that? 59 watts, 60 watts. There's the big 60. That's the number we're looking for. So yes, indeed, this thing will take 60 watts. So that is pretty cool. That right there, to me, guys, is reason enough to get this unit over the EB150S. Just because, for me, the recharge time makes a difference. Now, again, like I said, guys, if you're in a situation where you really don't care, you know, the situations you're going to use it, and then you're going to go home, you're going to charge it, then maybe it doesn't really matter. But if you're in a situation where you want to recharge this thing quickly, this makes all the difference in the world. And plus, you don't have to worry about taking this charger with you. With the other model, yeah, you probably could charge it with the USB-C port, but you'd be charging at 18 watts. That's going to take forever. And so basically, in order to charge at any reasonable rate, you'd have to remember to bring this barrel plug adapter charger. But with this, you can just take the one charger with you. You can take your one USB-C charger. You can even just take one USB-C cable, although I'd recommend you have a few more, right? Maybe some USB-A to USB-C, whatever, right? But you get my drift. You could have that one charger that could charge your iPad, your tablet, your laptop, your phone, and it can charge your power bank at the fast rate of 60 watts. And to me, that is just the dream right there. That is very nice to have. So if you're somebody that travels a lot, this makes sense. Now, one thing I will say that's a little bit of a bummer for some, but you know, the extra battery is the reason why I bought it. I already have something that can go on a plane, is that this unit isn't going to be legal to take on a plane. The FAA limit is 100 watt hours or less. This is obviously a 150 watt hour unit. However, that being said, for those of you guys that do a lot of car travel or whatever else, this makes a lot of sense because it's still compact enough, light enough to carry with you. In fact, it's about the same weight, maybe even slightly lighter than this one. The big thing with this unit is that the all aluminum body, while it feels premium, adds a lot of weight. So that is a big plus with this, is that most of it isn't aluminum, and so as a result, you're saving a lot of weight. And don't get me wrong, just because it's not made of some sort of metal, I'm flexing this thing right now. I'm trying to, and it's not flexing. There is no creak, there's no flex, there's no rattle. That rattle, that's my watch, right? So there's no rattle with this. So I definitely don't feel like this is a cheap feeling unit just because they used plastic instead of some sort of metal. So I'm very pleased with this. The last thing we're gonna test is that AC adapter. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna unplug this charger. And we're just gonna flip the script here. We're gonna try and charge this Maxoak AC10 power bank using the AC output on here. So push the button once, and you actually see the output here goes up to about 2 watts. So there is some waste draw from this AC inverter just being on. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're not gonna be using this thing, obviously make sure it stays off. So it's just drawing 2 watts with no load on it. So that's important to keep in mind. Okay, there we go. Try and get this all in frame here. All right, now this unit's already pretty well charged, but we'll see if it'll take a charge. And there it is, it's charging. And you can see we're pulling about 29, 28 watts. So it is indeed charging at a very fast rate. And I don't know if you guys can hear that. The fan is running. It sounds like it's going almost full tilt, and it's really not obnoxious at all. Something I always worry with these units is the fan gonna be annoying? Is it gonna be irritating, grating, have an annoying, weird frequency to it? It doesn't sound offensive or obtrusive at all. Like if this was running while I was sleeping, I don't think it would wake me up. And if I was trying to sleep and this thing was making noise in the same room as me, I certainly don't think I'd have a problem falling asleep. Now obviously if you guys are super sensitive or whatever, your mileage may vary, but to me this is certainly not a problem. And that is something that I'm very happy about as well, because if any unit needs a fan, that's always my concern. Something like this doesn't require a fan. As a result, the outputs are lower in power. The AC output is lower, and the USB-C power delivery output is lower, and of course your USB-A ports power output is lower. So anyway guys, that's pretty much it. I think I've checked just about everything on this unit that I can possibly test. I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with this thing. You know, the build quality is very nice. The features are all there. Like I said, you know, the one thing I'm longing for is that USB-A quick charge port. I just have so many of these USB-A to USB-C cords, and I'm so used to using those to charge my phone that to me it makes more sense to have one of those in addition. But I do have USB-C to USB-C cables too, so it's not the end of the world because I can just use them there. The issue for me is that, in theory, is that if I wanted to charge this power station using USB-C, then I'm not gonna have access to that single port, and then I'm gonna be stuck with these lower output USB-As. So it'd be nice to see one of these at least be quick charge. That way I could quickly charge up my power bank while I quickly charge my phone. So that's a nice feature that I'd love to see as well. So if that could be included in the future, hey man, it would make this thing damn near perfect. So anyway guys, if you want to check this thing out yourself, you're interested in buying it, or you just want to look at it, as always, the link is in the description. If you do end up buying it through that link or anything else, It won't cost you a cent extra, but it'll help support the channel. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's another link there. If for any reason you don't think that you can swing $109 right now, I totally understand with everything that's going on. I have another link below that to a company called Abunda. They offer a great service, which is the ability to purchase items off of Amazon, but pay in installments. So if that's something you're interested in, you can always check that link out as well. But anyway, guys, if you liked the video, be sure to give me a like. If you have any questions, comments, or your own experiences with the Ecoboxx EB150P, I and all my other viewers would love to hear about that. And if you want to see more and maybe a future review of this thing, definitely don't forget to get subscribed.